All right, welcome back to KTV, everybody. This is Knife Television. I'm your host, Cowboy Sebop. And today, we are going to take a trip to the Orient. Yes, 1896, to be more precise. All right, everybody. I didn't really have any like Oriental clothes, but this will do. All right. Guys, notice anything different about me today? Why are we here? Because we're going to be talking about a particular blade that's been around since, as I said, 1896, Japan. Now, I've been to Japan, I think, 3 or 4 times. I got to share this story with you before we go any further. I must. And while I'm sharing this story, let's just take a look at my Kill Bill Beatrix Kiddo sword replica. All right, so it's about 1987, 88. We were in Japan, and we found out that Motley Crue was playing in Tokyo. So me and like two other buddies hopped on the subway and went out to see Motley Crue. It was insane. All right. And on our way back, how do I put this nicely? Because this is a family channel. We decided to stop off at a comfort house. All right. So we found this house thanks to our taxi cab driver, and very, 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 you know, Oriental. You could just feel the culture. So while my two buddies were still upstairs, let's say they were getting a massage, I sat with like this 80-year-old woman who didn't speak like hardly any English whatsoever. And she had asked me if I wanted something to drink. So she made me this coffee, all right? And she asked me, how you like? How you like? And I'm like, it's awesome. You know, I love it. It tastes great. And I'm wondering, what kind of magic recipe did she use? And I'm like, wow, how did you make this? And she was like, easy. And she reached behind the couch and she's like, Folgers. Man, I was dying. I thought she was going to show me something like, some ancient, secret. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you. Okay, so yes, this is my Kill Bill uh, samurai replica. All right, and actually, my son stole this from me. He loves this thing. All right, so okay, we are here to talk about the Higo no Kami. Some people split it, Higo no Kami. Some people just do it all together. Higo no Kami. All right, 5 generations, one guy still makes these by hand. And what's better than one Higo no Kami? 3 Higo no Kamis. Now, if you guys are interested in trying to purchase, let me just tell you straight up, if you go to Amazon, their descriptions are not very well. All right, so I'll try to help you as best I can. Little history: the samurai. All right, the samurai. When I think of samurai, I think of, that they're all dressed in their gear and they got 2 swords, and these guys were warriors. But unfortunately, that period had ended, in like 1870 or something like that. So all the bladesmiths that made the swords, they, switched over to making knives and other tools. That's fascinating. I never knew about that. All right. Could you imagine if, like, say, the Samurai Warriors were still like available today? Like, if there'd be competitions, there'd be pay-per-view events, right? We'd have trading cards. Who's your favorite samurai? You know, think about that, right? They would be making a killing on pay-per-view. Okay, so the swordsmiths transitioned over to just, making tools and other knives once the samurai's privileges were stripped. So these guys here, over 5 generations, right? To me, these are just conversation pieces, right? They really are. And check this out, right? I don't know if you guys noticed, I had pencils on the table. At one point, I'm not sure how long. I don't even know if they're still doing it today. But little kids in Japan were issued these Higo no Kami blades to sharpen their pencils. Could you imagine doing that today? All right, let's start with what I have here. All right, I love brass, so I broke out my brass Zippo again. I love this guy. All right, love it. Nothing says Navy sailor, more than a brass Zippo. All right, so I got 3 sizes here. First of all, they come in these beautiful, you know, blue and yellow, boxes here. And I'm not exactly sure what this says here. I believe it says Higo no Kami or the factory. I'm not 100% on that. So here we go. I have small, medium, extra large. Where's large? I do not know. Okay, so these are two-handed, you know, friction folders. Here's the smallest. The small boy here runs about 20 bucks off of Amazon. You got a 3 5/8 inch handle, brass, folded, brass, 3 5/8, 2 3/4 inch blade, and 6 1/4 inches overall. Like little iron and steel here. It's a two-handed operation unless you get like really, really good at it. All right. So again, 2 3/4 inch blade, 3 5/8 inch handle. This is the small. Runs you about 20 bucks. And then we get the medium here with a 3 3/4 inch handle, a 3 inch blade, and it's 6 3/4 inches overall. And apparently this one is the most comfortable. All right, we'll take a closer look so I can show you you know, the scribe here. Each one has this. All right, so there's your medium. That's going to run you about 22 bucks. And then you have the extra large, which is my personal favorite. This runs you about 35 bucks if you can find it, with a 4 3/4 inch handle, 3 5/8 inch blade, 8 1/4 inch overall. Now these are made with something they call blue paper steel, which is a high carbon. All right, all handmade, so expect imperfections. It's a friction folder, as I said, with brass handle, and over time, if the handle and the blade will develop a patina. All right, patina. All right, and again, as I said, it's like a two-hand deployment unless you're how you say, um, not clumsy like I am, and you can do it with one hand over time. And also, when I think of those, the little kids in school, sharpening their pencils, all right, I'm going to assume that they were using, the smaller one with the 2 3/4 inch blade, because you don't want to issue, a 6 7 year old, 8 year old with the extra large. You just wouldn't dare give him the smaller one. So yeah, uh, their pencils are dull, so they just whip out their Higo Konami, do a little bit of shaving here. These things are razor razor sharp. Look at that. This was my dullest pencil. Let's see here. It writes. See, this is all they needed. Who needs to invest in, you know, those? Isn't that boring? Wouldn't you rather sit and do this? Also, what I found pretty cool is, as I said, they're conversation pieces. So each have these really cool lanyard holes. So, me, I like to, rock my jewelry. So let's see here. Come on. Get it in the hole. Get it in the hole. There we go. Just tie this bad boy up right here, right now. There we go. He's rocking it now, right? So I purchased these because I can. All right, I have the means. No, seriously, um, it's another rabbit hole because there's so many of these available. Some with like black, steel handles, and I do believe they all still have this, inscription. Like when I say these guys are razor sharp, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I will not deceive any any of you. Merciless. Let's do the medium. These things are wicked and they're fun. Huh? Yeah? I didn't do the small guy. Yeah, but I'm gonna keep this tray. So the little fella. Budget prices, guys. Who knows how much longer they're going to continue to make these? All right. So I say, sure. Now, a couple weeks ago, I did a video on 5 folder pocket knives, and I'm going to be reviewing each one. I had 5 in there. And one of the cool things about this is, all right, the Higo no Kami to Japan is just like the Opinel is to France. All right. So I'll be reviewing the Opinel. I'll be reviewing the Mercator. I'll be reviewing the Copy, and there's one more in there. Oh, the Duke Duke, Douk Douk, Duck Duck. All right, so let's do our little once over here, and I'll let you guys get about your day. Hope you enjoyed this. How sharp is this bad boy really on paper? You guys want to see? It's like a laser. Laser. One more. All right. Here comes the once over, ladies and gentlemen. What a mess. What a mess. The Higo no Kami. Leave a comment or leave a Higo no comment. Small. See that engraving there? These are very, very cool. Still made by one man. There are videos of him showing you how he made this knife. I'm going to leave you guys a link to the 5 pocket knives that I'm going to be reviewing. So check this one off the list. All right. Stay safe as always, everybody. And see you at the next video. All right. All right. Thanks for being here. Take care.